In Ephesians chapter 3, Paul spends the first 13 verses talking about the mystery of Christ that's been revealed by God in the fullness of time, and the boundless riches of Christ that are available to all who put their faith and trust in him, and how through Christ we have access to God in one Spirit. And then that brings us to this transition point in verses 14 and 15, where he writes, "For this reason," everything that God has done in Christ in the previous 13 verses, "For this reason I bow my knees before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth takes its name." When I read these verses, part of what it says to me it speaks to the importance of humility before God in prayer. For this reason, he says, I bow my knees before the Father. Now, in our church, when we gather for corporate worship, we don't tend to pray on our knees together in that particular form. We don't have kneelers like Tom has in his Roman Catholic Church to make that posture in prayer a little bit easier. But this is one area where our Roman Catholic brothers and sisters are following very much in a biblical example of taking a physical posture of humility in prayer. When we kneel, we are in a physical position of weakness, of submission, of humility. There's not much you can do aggressively when you're on your knees, right? It's very much a humble posture. And in the Psalms and in the Bible, we see people taking different physical postures in prayer, from lying fully prostrate on the floor, to being on your knees, to standing with arms and head uplifted towards God. But it is important to remember, as it says in Ecclesiastes, that God is in heaven and you are on earth, therefore let your words be few. So humility in prayer is something we hear in these verses. And the other thing is that God, from whom every family in heaven and on earth takes its name. This is a reminder, again, that the ethnic and racial and national divisions and strife and enmity that human beings take and possess and hold against other groups and other people, this is not God's desire for humanity. We are all under God. We are all, God desires us to be part of God's family, and that everybody shares the human condition on this earth. And so verses 14 and 15 of Ephesians chapter 3 are a reminder both of the need to be humble in prayer and a reminder of the wideness of God's love and mercy, which extends to nations and peoples and ethnic groups we don't even know, but we are all under God.